The Young and the Restless Update 24 is now available to you. The most recent entertainment news on television. Hello, everyone. Hello from my channel. I hope you had a wonderful day. Please like and subscribe to the video before we begin. Nate believes Audra relished getting inside Kyle's brain and teasing him about her new cosmetics firm at the jazz club. He believes the element of surprise would have been better. Audra wanted Kyle to know she was back, and this was a hint of what was to come. She confesses it felt wonderful after months of having doors slammed in her face by Kyle. Nate reminds her that Victor had a role in it. Audra enjoys being back in the game and sees no harm in making Kyle squirm a little. He has no concept what a mistake he made when he crossed her across the room, Kyle broods. Claire admits she's a little curious what this thing with Audra could be about. Is he sure it's only business? She knows they had a thing once. Kyle says it was nothing more than a flirtation. When it came to getting her fired, he just outdid her. He does not care about her. Can we talk about something else? He asks, tossing back his drink. Claire retreats to the other side of the table, prompting Kyle to apologize for snapping at her. He simply does not want to relive that period in his life. He made decisions that were difficult for him to forgive himself for. He'd like to forget the entire Glissade disaster ever occurred. Claire understands, but it does not appear that Audra will not let him. At the other table, Audra complains that Nate's being a buzzkill. She should be able to flaunt her success to Kyle. Nate thinks she should be more concerned about this job. She's walking into the lion's den, and Victor Newman is the lion. She insists she can handle what Victor throws at her. Nate says if she was sure about this, she wouldn't have waited to tell him about it. Audra denies she has any doubts. Audra fumes that he will toast her future herself. Here's to me. Nate grabs his glass. I'll drink to that. Audra vows she'll outmaneuver all the cosmetic companies. Nate advises prudence. Victor may be using her to reach Jack. She recalls what happened the last time, doesn't she? Audra will ensure that she is safeguarded when she signs her contracts. All she cares about is success. Nate has complete confidence in her and none in Victor. Audra assures him that she is on top of everything. Now is her moment. Kyle tells Claire at his table that Audra will make a big deal about competing with Jabot, but she will crash and burn as she always does. He wants to focus on them, and he shares with his father had a big win at Jabot today. She asks what it was. He can't talk about it right now. She warns him not to do this again. If he doesn't feel comfortable talking to her about his work, why does he bring it up? Kyle says it's confidential. Claire scoffs at this excuse. He apologizes. She asks if it has to do with the suspicious employee. Kyle says it does. Claire recalls that he assured her this had nothing to do with her grandfather. Does that still stand? Kyle doesn't respond. Claire urges him to talk to her. He decides he can't keep her in the dark. The problem at Jabot does involve Victor. He is the problem. Nikki confronts Victor at the ranch. Nikki asks Victor about his dinner with Michael. He says they had a very good meeting. She wants to hear about it. Victor guesses she's wondering what plans he has to bring Jack Abbott to his knees. Nikki and Victor argue about Jack reigniting the war by putting her life in danger. She fumes that she has asked him to stop and end this ridiculous vendetta, but he won't. He wasn't there that night and has no idea how desperate her situation was. She hasn't had a drop of alcohol since that night, so who gets credit for that? Victor says Nikki gets credit for her sobriety and the subject is closed. Nikki insists Jack saved her life. Victor hollers that he's a loser. Nikki will keep quiet about that, but not about him attacking Kyle and Claire. Victor denies he's hurting Claire and grouses that this is just puppy love. Nikki wouldn't be so sure about that. She spends all day with Claire and sees on her face that she's in love with Kyle. Victor rants that he can't stand that guy. He will inevitably break her heart. Nikki suggests he might be the one for her. Victor says he isn't. Nikki says it's not up to him and he needs to stop controlling everyone. All he'll get out of this is Claire's resentment. Victor argues that he's always right. He promises Claire and Kyle's relationship will disintegrate. Nikki asks if he has a plan to ruin things for them. Victor knows Kyle will reveal his true colors. He's a well-seasoned veteran. Changing the subject, he inquires about Chancellor. Nikki says everything is terrific, and Claire is a godsend. She's astonished. What really put the smile on his face? Jack tells his wife that he and Kyle found out Victor has a spy at Jabot. Diane gawps. Jack says their son impressed the hell out of him today. He told this guy that either he turned on Victor or was thrown to the wolves. He's certain Kyle's matured. Victor is no longer a threat to their son. Those days are over. Diane thinks it's great that Kyle is growing in his role, but how did Victor plant a spy at Jabot? Jack explains he came in through Glissade. They're doubling what Victor paid him. Diane wonders if Victor foresaw them grabbing up Glissade. Jack says it doesn't matter now. The damage control is done. Diane doubts this is over. Victor will make another move, and it will go on and on. We're just reacting. We're always scrambling around trying to put out fires Victor starts. She wonders how he'd like it if they tried to burn his company to the ground. Jack doesn't want to be like Victor. Diane understands, but they don't want his minions scattered around Jabot. Jack says he and Kyle have their eyes on a few. It's important Victor doesn't know they are onto him. He updates her on needling Victor and Michael early and complains about Baldwin being Victor's fixer these days. He has been conveying Victor's marching orders to the spies. Diane is appalled. What a snake! She is disappointed with him. Jack warns Diane not to tell Michael how she feels. He is certain that things will escalate. Kyle and Claire are discussing moving in together, so the stakes are likely to rise. Diane is disappointed. She was looking forward to seeing them all together after the new improvements. Jack informs them that they will need their support because Victor would not provide it. He has a hunch he will do everything he can to wreck this. Diane wishes he'd leave them alone. Jack says it won't warm his cold heart. It will only make him angrier. Diane wonders if they'll ever be free of Victor's attacks. Jack guesses it will follow them to their graves, but they beat him today, so should toast to the positives. Kyle confides in Claire in the jazz lounge. Kyle swears Claire to secrecy, and then tells her Victor put a corporate spy at Jabot. He paid him to infiltrate their business and sent him sensitive information. Claire can't believe it, but Kyle says it's classic Victor. He has proof, and the guy admitted it. Claire asks, why? What's the purpose? Kyle says they're not sure yet. All he knows is that it's to get back at his father. I'm sorry, Claire. This is how her grandfather operates. This is who he is. Claire downs a drink and notes he's been warning her that Victor's a terrible person. This is hard and upsetting to her. Kyle assures her they're dealing with it, so it won't end up being a big thing. He takes her hand and leads her to the dance floor. Across the room, Audra tells Nate she almost feels sorry for Claire. She's staring at Kyle with big trusting doe eyes and hanging on his every word. It's never going to work out with him. Nate asks, why would it matter to you one way or the other? Watching Kyle and Claire dance, Nate says, they look happy to me. Audra muses, we'll see. Nate asks why she's worried about this couple. She's not. It was just an observation. She suggests they dance. Once they're on the floor, Audra shoots a look at Kyle. At the ranch, Victor tells Nikki he's concerned that Aristotle Dumas might be aiming for Chancellor. He asks if there have been any new hires or staff who have a lot of queries. She declines and inquires as to why he believes he is after Chancellor. Victor says Billy Abbott. He explains that he has been in contact with Dumas, but he isn't interested in his crazy startup. Nikki understands Billy's need to reclaim control of Chancellor. She wants to inform him they know what he's up to, but Victor advises her it's a mistake. Not now. Nikki doesn't see why it's a bad idea to put them on notice. Victor says they haven't made a move yet. Dumas has to be after bigger fish than Billy's media company, and that would be Chancellor. Thank you for watching the video. Please continue to follow and subscribe to my USR Media channel.